Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we are back again with another episode of Impractical but Fun, episode 29. If you have not checked out the previous episodes, do make sure to do so. And this time we're going to be taking a look at Sunspot versus Wolverine. So I just released a Sunspot review video and this time it's time to kind of fool around a bit. So in order to kill Wolverine, obviously we're going to have to rely on Incinerate debuffs and our Despair Mastery. Without explaining too much how Sunspot works, basically we have these flare charges, we use them up every time we incinerate opponent, we incinerate opponent every time we land a hit on them. We do place one incinerate per flare state. Level 1 adds another flare state to what we have on already. Level 3 refreshes our charges as well as heavy attacks do. And then basically level 3 refreshes our charges and we kind of start all over. So now initially in the first bits of the fight I do try to spam some of my level 2s, but however that will not really work out all that well for me, just because of me trying to purify those incinerates off Wolverine is kind of counterproductive, and if at times he is left with no incinerate debuffs on him, that will let him regenerate. And since we are using only a 330 4-star, realistically we can't do enough damage to kind of outweigh that regen he would get if we are spamming level 2s. Also, additionally, I think at one point I will run out of charges because of it, or perhaps that was my initial try. But regardless, so our point here is we're gonna keep at 3 flare states, because that is kind of like perfect amount of flare states to have with Sunspot at my signature level, to make sure I can fight a relatively normal fight without being forced to purify too many incinerates with my heavy attack, and kind of just casually get to level 3 and fight pretty much with like any other normal champion. So that is the game plan over here. We are going to keep at 3 flare states, fight more or less regularly, keep at least kind of 6-7 incinerates on Wolverine, ideally much more than that. I think at some points we reach even like 30 plus incinerates, and even though they do not deal all that much damage, it all adds up. And plus our regular hits, and Sunspot has fairly decent damage output like in his base, and that is one of the things I kind of like about him. You can play him as like a normal champion without trying to gain too many flare states, drop those massive level 2s, and still do decent enough damage just by playing him regularly. So in here we're basically skipping the level 2 part of his mechanics, and we are just focusing on keeping up as many incinerates as we can on Wolverine. And as we can see, that is working out perfectly. Wolverine is already at 60% health. We have shut down his regen extremely successfully. There is nothing kind of too hard about this fight. It's fairly straightforward. Hit Wolverine, place incinerates on him, drop a level 3 to refresh your charges, and then keep hitting Wolverine. Now, one thing you will notice that even 150 hits in, I am still at 100% health, and that is because of Sunspot's perfect block. So long as we kind of land a perfect parry every time, he takes no block damage, and I think that is probably going to be the biggest strength this character has. In that kind of sense, you can use him in like high endgame content where taking this chip damage, where taking this parry damage adds up. Sunspot can deal with that relatively well. Basically, so long as you don't miss a parry of initial special attack hit, or just like initial parry when opponent's dashing at you, you will take no block damage, and that is a good piece of utility for the character. Now, and yeah, I like that a lot. But additionally, I also like the fact that you can play him as a normal character on 3 flare states. In this case, perhaps you can do it even on 4 flare states if you have him max signature. And that also is kind of really good for the champion. But I did make a full review video on Sunspot. You can check it out on my channel. It's posted earlier today. But 194 hits in, Wolverine's at 40%. So you can see that we are chipping away at him fairly steadily and fairly well compared to majority of 330 kind of 4 stars what would be able to do here. And just because his regeneration does not come in play absolutely whatsoever. I don't think it kind of shined through once in this fight. Maybe it did, but then for a brief moment. But back in the fight, as we can see, we are making a complete barbecue out of this Wolverine. He's at 30% health, we are 223 hits in, and Sunspot is just doing whatever he does steadily and casually. So we have noticed that we are taking away pretty much 10% of Wolverine's health for every level 3 attack that we throw, and that is good. That is nothing to chuff about at all. And here we can see we're landing a heavy attack just to help us out a bit with our power gain. Now when I land my heavy attacks, I also try to make sure that there are still enough incinerates left on Wolverine for him not to start his regeneration. So it means that we need to basically have at least 7 or more debuffs on opponent for Despair to completely shut down any regeneration regardless of how strong it is. So once again, we're back to another level 3. Wolverine's at 20% and we are about to get into Assassin's range. And as you can see throughout the video, we have absolutely no problems keeping all our debuffs on, and Wolverine has had absolutely no chance to regenerate whatsoever. Therefore, this is in fact fairly reliable method to deal with Wolverine or any kind of regeneration champ. However, what makes it impractical, and I know there are going to be a bunch of comments in comment section saying like, no, Sunspot, this was practical and stuff like that. No, this is impractical. It's taking a 330 4-star champion to deal with Wolverine that can't reverse his heal, because this fight could be over with a variety of heal reverse champions in a minute or 10 seconds or half a minute. But so we are about 6 minutes in the fight. It's nearly over. We can see that he's absolutely burning away. And at this point, I pretty much decided that we're going to finish this fight off with a nice level 2 attack. So we need to get him as close to Death Door as possible. And now we're going to drop our level 2 attack. So nice, no crits, no crits, no crits. And the last one crit for 18k. Not bad at all. But that is it for today's episode of Impractical but Fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons. And I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya.